Welcome to Game Woven, a collaborative storytelling collective building a world one game at a time. This week, we'll be playing Wanderhome by J Dragon. If you like what we're doing here, you can follow us on Twitter at GameWoven, where you can join our Discord, and check out our Patreon at patreon.com/GameWoven. Previously on the Game Moving podcast, war, hope, travel, and the moon left the city of the gods together. They traveled together, but to their own ends, with no end in particular in mind. The god of hope, known only as Hope, spoke with their twin, Heltas, the god of what comes after, one final time. Hope was fading, succumbing once more to the certainty they were merely hope, but not meaning, and therefore they sought a place to die so that they might be reborn. Heltas wished them a long journey. Aspen, the god of the moon, bid adieu to his sibling Ventros, the god of the sun. Aspen and Ventros cared much for each other, but the sun takes as he gives, and in his kind arrogance mocks as he comforts. It had been good for Aspen to share her sibling's light, but it is nearing time they shone on their own once more. Vasiage, the god of war, love, blood, and iron, left the god of the forge, longing for her return. She will, someday, but her domain is something which must travel. DeGale led the caravan, as one might expect the god of travel to do. DeGale left no one at the gates to the city of the gods. She rarely stayed long, rarely kept company for long, could never savor a goodbye. And so together, they left. After a time of travel, they came to the sea, where they found rest.
Do you know? And she sticks a couple candles in the little slice of cake that she's just put right into his palm and lights them with a little match. Do you know that my brother loves to blow these right out? You know, the people celebrating are supposed to blow them out. Sometimes he just comes right on in and gives them a huff before you're able to. And then you don't know it, but that's why your wish doesn't come true.
As you blow the candles out, there is this overwhelming feeling of it's been so difficult. You've had nothing but failure after failure, and you've tried and you've scrapped and saved. But right now, that moment that the air exhales from you, it's like, fuck. But I made it one more year. And next year, that's going to be mine. That's going to be my time. And you notice hope almost materialize in the smoke that is blown out. I love these celebrations. The whole point of living.
It is the point. It is important. And it's important, too, that they end so that we can look forward to the next one.
Exactly. It is finite. That's the joy of it.
What was the last thing you celebrated?
I can't remember. Looking around, there's this aura around these walls of when you look upon them, you're like, we are fucked. We are so dead. They are these hungry, vicious, cruel creatures. But then you notice one is not quite standing on one of their legs. And bit skinnier than the others. You stand and they shy away slightly, and you realize you have food in your pack. You have enough food. They're not here to kill you. They're just hungry. You are almost out of the woods. This thing that you thought was going to kill you is it's actually just a friend that you didn't realize. Oh my god, you're going to survive tonight. You are going to get to that beach. But as this feeling hits you, there's this small pang of, but then tomorrow we're just going to face something else. Those waves are too choppy. There's no boat. It's just a beach. It's desolate. And this kind of wave of nihilism hits you as Hope exclaims that they can't remember the last time they celebrated something.
I'm hurt. Hope. Our feast. Darling, you don't remember? It was a joyous occasion, a riot.
Was truly a victory for all of the ages. The joy of everyone was amazing. It was.
Well, the side that won.
The side that won. I also remember an awful night. Grief and desolation, loss, crying and sobbing. But half of that night was very, very nice.
That's the only night I needed. Why, what are you hiding? It seems very unlike you, darling.
To me, I've experienced my time here. The world is a cruelly complicated place. Hope, for one, is almost exclusively destruction and sadness for another.
Quite familiar.
It is, as it does at times, devour me. And if I am to stay here in this realm, if you are to have another victory, if you are to win another battle, if the waves are to softly send people to sleep, if you are going to get that letter from that person you love, I must be purged of all hope, all nihilism, so that hope can be reborn in another image, at another time, at another party, another celebration. Every year has its downsides. Every good memory has a shock of sadness. It's just my time again. Of course, we spent a wonderful night together, but my attention was pulled elsewhere. On the other side, there was a notice of a weakness in your ranks. I don't tend to follow the victors. I live more with those who are on the oppressed side.
Bakiage has been sitting on a felled tree, kind of adjacent to the wolves, petting them every once in a while, and has been traveling with this very large glaive, this polearm with a curved blade at the end, very large. It seems to be made of metal sharper than steel, sharper than obsidian maybe, and almost toothed like a viper's mouth, with one large, almost sickle-like fang at the tip. And as you're regaling your memory of this feast from the opposite side of the victory, there's a look in Bakiage's eyes. It's hard to discern. In the same way that it's hard to discern a lion's eyes, a cat's eyes. It's intent and it's very aware of you, but you can't read a lot into the thought behind it. Sorry to hear that. It was not as I experienced.
You did have me during that battle when you were locked in combat with a general who had just a lick more speed than you anticipated. And you fell to the ground and they raised their hammer. But you noticed that under their armor was more padded than it was plate. I was with you then. I was with you when you slew them, but after you turned the tide of that battle, you did not need me anymore. Victory is your friend, not hope.
Again, looking at you, and currently sees, or had been seeing up to that point, the image of a white flag sprayed with viscera and waving weakly of clear and utter defeat, and yet still a surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you say that, something almost glitches, seems to lose the image in some way. It becomes distorted. And suddenly you don't have as much of a form to maquillage in this moment. It sees a little bit more of the person underneath the illusion.
Did you want to be him? Sitting in the corner, honestly, not even. It looks like there could just be a coat on a hanger. But you know the figure now that it's spoken.
Oh, Lord, I don't... The idea of you being the god of waking up in the middle of the night, seeing clothes on a chair, and thinking it's a monster.
I bring omen and warning. I'm everyone's monster. Did you want to be him? This and him?
Oh, who are you asking?
You. I'm asking you if you wanted to be this, and if you wanted to be him, and then it conflated the two questions.
Oh.
After you described, that there's another person underneath that beautiful cape.
Oh, I think I'm very content with who I am. I know my rank. I know my place amongst the commandants, the lieutenants, the corporals, the privates.
But do you know your precedent? There was a god of iron and steel and bone and blood, of war, of battle. For years he reigned. Years and years and years. I forget how many sometimes, but that's only because I can only think for so long. And then he was slain. And then there was a new god. Of bone, blood, iron and steel, war and battle and love. But that means there could be another.
At this moment, Maquillage becomes very aware of... She has all over her body these, wrappings and bandages. On some places, her arms and legs and feet, they're more like boxing wraps. But more so around her torso and her legs, they're more like medical wraps. They cover her chest and her thigh and kind of her groin. And she becomes very aware that underneath her left breast, there is a constantly flowing stream of blood from her heart. I think I remember that story very well. Forgotten one.
I simply state that they had a boat. They had a boat, and they called it unsinkable, and it sank beneath a wave. They had a god, they called it immortal, and he was slain. They had a god they called benevolent. He tortured. There's precedent. And I know the depth at which the precedent lasts, but I feel that would ruin it. What were we talking about? I got lost in tomorrow.
We were just making dinner.
Dinner.
And speaking of things you should have forgotten,
I'm not called the Forgotten God because I forget. I never forget. I'm called the Forgotten God because my altars and shrines are hollow and broken. Because no one prays to me anymore. No one cares to. No one wants to. The stories I told scared them so hard, they broke me. And all I did was warn them of their own actions. You know those actions are coming to pass. And I don't eat. I don't need to. I don't think I can.
Sometimes the best part of a meal is who you're sharing it with, so you can pretend.
Would you want to share a meal with me?
While we're on the road, you are my responsibility. So, yes, I will share a meal with you.
Then I will tell you that your journey has an end. What are we having?
Cake.
I will have some. And I will eat it.
You can all eat something not cake. It's literally anything else.
No! I think the cake is delicious.
I'm going to have stew.
Why would you have stew?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Because we're on the road. You don't eat cake while traveling. It doesn't do anything for you.
You don't. I do.
And that's why you're not the god of travel.
No.
I agree it's not for every day. But there's nothing wrong with celebrating for tonight. We've made it this far.
We're going to laugh. Right here, right now, not now, very soon. We're going to laugh. Someone's going to tell a joke and we're going to laugh. And you'll light a candle. And you'll eat cake, even though you think you probably shouldn't. And I'll beam from ear to ear. And we'll watch the sun start to rise over those hills. We'll listen to the water crash. It's going to happen any moment now. Can't wait for it. I feel like I'm taking a moment to watch a tiny moment of beauty and describing it to the table. Can I claim a token?
Yeah.
What is that?
For the listeners. Hey, for the listeners, what does a token do?
Well, a token is... Well, there's a rhythm to the way we move. I'm using the words from the book here.
Mm-hmm.
Through the world. Sometimes we give all we have to offer, and through that we find strength. And that is represented in this game through tokens. So there's a list of things that we can look at that gives us a token. Some of us have special moves in our playbooks that gives us tokens, and there's ways to spend those tokens to solve a problem, to ease someone's pain, to reveal something hidden, or listen to the shared wisdom of many small and other forgotten gods, etc., etc. It's a way to acknowledge that we have set ourselves on the foot back or taken a pause to gain an advantage in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a token is, and I just have one.
Yeah.
After the Forgotten God, we're going to be laughing soon. We'll have cake and we'll watch the stars and listen to the waves. Hope after a small break. I believe that was my line. But yes, we shall all have those. And passion, my victory. You may be worried for the future and what is to come, but you have so many years. But it is inevitable. It will end at some point. There's like this shift of futility in the space between the pair of them as they discuss war and feasts.
Well, this is simply no good now. In the dirt where Aspen has been sitting as you've all been having this conversation, she's been doodling in the dirt, almost like a little comic book throughout the phases of this conversation. The first few panels, if it were our like little stick figure pornography moving into like a little stick figure war. And in the last couple panels, it's just like those scribbly clouds and things that comics, traditional comics use to indicate anger or sadness or other like indescribable feelings. And that's where you see him like kind of scratch out the dirt. Well, I liked that at first.
Does anyone else have anything they want to do this night before we continue our travels?
Not necessarily like a scene,
Mm-hmm.
but so sorry, Andre. It's maquillage. Is that correct?
Maquillage, yes.
Maquillage. Okay.
Maquillage.
As Hope brings this air of futility, and there's this, aura of it will take you eventually. Eventually, there is a final battle. As they shift, that form that you saw that was settling in to the person underneath who Hope actually was outside of this flag and this recovered surrender kind of turns into more of a, what does Maquillage see as futile? What is a pointless endeavor? Or something that's just inevitable that they don't enjoy mulling on? A sense of nihilism.
I don't think that they enjoy the rooms where these little mortals sit and stand and preen and pretends to go on about diplomacy and fair trades and all these airs of self-righteousness and shared interests, when what she believes lies in the heart of all people is a need for self-preservation and hedonism. She sees those congregations as nothing more than excess, and not a fun excess in the same way that a victory feast is, in the same way that a landslide victory is excess. It's a pedantic squibbling little nothing that just keeps things further away from her.
Yeah, I think she, being Hope, shifts into a room, like a gorgeous meeting office with statues and gold that sort of serves ultimately no purpose other than to peacock bureaucracy. You see or can feel Hope falling to this nihilism before. Almost a blink. You don't necessarily see their eyes. Maybe a member of this board kind of blinks really hard, and then after they shift more into a more hopeful form. Ooh. Lost myself for a second. We will see tomorrow, and the week after. I know it. We must.
Yes. Yes, Hope. Aspen, were you there the day of the feast? I don't remember. So many thralls.
Oh, the day of the feast, I was napping in a very, very nice bed of feathers, I think. They were long, and they were very soft. And I slept there through the whole thing. It was great. It was lovely.
And I don't think we would have... as if I were only one side of it, but I don't think we would have managed to be as successful as we were if not for your little bit of shining reflection that night.
I serve only to reflect the bright and beautiful light of my big brother.
Yet, your brother... Don't get me wrong, your brother has his perks. He's loud. He always makes himself known. Even when you can't necessarily see him, but you You channel him quite well. Just enough for things get done in cover.
I suppose that's one of my specialties. Subtlety, shade, a little bit of light shows you something different than all of it. And that's my job. And I do it very well in the confines of the amount of light I'm allowed.
Very familiar with just a little bit of exposure.
I prefer the night to the day. I like what I do.
But that's only half of you. One half bathed in the sun, reflecting it so all they can see. The other half?
You're right. That's not all there was. I wasn't reflection. I had my own light, and it was as subtle and nuanced and shaded as the reflection is. It's just that the other one was mine. So people may not notice the difference, really. I don't know that they know that when they worship me now, they're worshiping the piece of me that belongs to my wonderful brother.
They love worshipping the sun.
They do. And why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they?
Because suns expand to the point they take everything else.
I know, but they haven't gotten there yet. My dear forgotten God, they don't know that one day he'll burn up. Right now, they know that he feeds their crops and he shines light on all their work and takes away from the things that frighten them in my light. And I don't blame them one bit. I think that they're right to love it. It's just that the night was not just a reflection once. Once the night was not just a softer day. The night was its own world, full of so much more than just a muted night. And I know you know, but it will be again. It will be that. And my brother doesn't know that I am so ready for that. I'm so prepared for that. We, the night, moon, we have creatures of our own. We have lives and worlds of our own, and they've only just been surviving in my brother's muted reflection. So when my light comes back, the world of night will come back, and we will rival him.
He can't help but be seen. He loves to be seen, but he cannot help it either.
No, I don't blame him.
A shepherd will beg for light. Their grass will get scorched. A spy will beg for sight, and they will burn too bright all night.
Noordin, above the table, do you mind if I ask you an in-character question about something that has happened in the Game Woven canon?
Sure. Hit me up.
Okay. In the Game Woven canon, there has been attacks of undead controlled by a vampire. They're not everywhere. They seem to be, if I'm not mistaken, Lex, they're localized.
Yeah, they control an empire.
They have one area of the world.
Very Roman Empire expansionist.
Remind me what city that was that we were near?
I believe they just call their capital the city because it's just great propaganda.
Okay.
Hacky.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, okay. I know you remember, but can you pull on the memory of when the Undying attacked outside the capital city?
Why do you want to know? What are you trying to ask me?
Oh, I don't want you to do anything. I just, if you were watching,
I was.
they weren't. They're not quite ready. They can't control because the light is not right for them yet. I don't think they know that.
You're walking down a path that you will not walk away from. You're asking a question that you do not want the answer to. You don't even know you're asking it, do you? You're right, the light isn't strong enough. The reflection isn't strong enough. They need something stronger. And so they will get it. They will empower the thing that will strengthen them. They will bring back its light. And they will kill in his name.
Good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I only... I'm sorry.
Oh. She puts her hands out the way she did before. I'm sorry I pulled on a memory. We're back in the now. We're in the now.
I'm sorry to give you an omen that you would not like.
It just is.
It just is. Or it just will be.
Not yet. Not now.
And we're in the now.
We're in the now.
Are we okay with progressing our journey?
I'm such an asshole. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I loved that. I loved that very
I
much.
love it.
That was good. That was very good.
I love big omen time, ominous. Him. There's now a villain afoot, and I love that for us.
We can make it like during travel,
Okay.
if we want. But I would love a scene between Vakiage and DeGale.
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah. If we travel during the day, I just want it known that Aspen is unconscious. Curled up, unconscious somewhere in our cart at all times day.
I think as the journey continues the next day, we were talking about the ocean. Someone mentioned crossing the ocean, which I think seems like a fun thing to do. So as we reach the shoreline, the cart is no more, but we do have a boat no one remembers packing that is waiting for us when we get there. Boy, I forgot. Aspen is curled up in a nice little corner, got a blanket draped over them, just nice and comfy.
How large do we imagine this boat to be?
Big enough to be
Big enough.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Whenever you travel with DeGale, the accommodations are always comfortable enough.
Yeah. I would also like to say that when Aspen is asleep in this state during the day, he's like a muted color, like as though just someone turned the light off just above the silhouette of him.
The opposite of a spotlight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Vakiage is on the deck of the ship with DeGale.
Mm-hmm.
Who's at the helm?
The helm might just be working on its own.
Just by itself.
Yeah.
Vakiage is smiling a great big smile as she looks out across the vast horizon ahead of them. I love the smell.
What do you expect us to find this time?
Us?
Yeah. Yes. Us. At this point, do you not consider us an us?
There is an us, for certain. It's simply, there are many us's for me. I know you don't feel quite the same way about many things the way that I do.
I'd like to try one day, if I can just find somewhere to stop.
Oh, you're so hopelessly adorable. And she like cups your face a little bit as she's like looking into you.
Mm-hmm.
Us, dear. I think I'm no forgotten god, but I think there will be a day when I am the more stationary one, and you will be fleeting from place to place, god to god, person to person, as need be. I know right now it's a very different circumstance, and you're very hidden away. I don't think you'll be so concerned about us in the future.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Hi, I'm Lex Olden, the sexiest member of the Game Over team. And I just want to let you know, unfortunately, we did lose some of this episode due to some technical difficulties. And if the ending seems like it comes out of nowhere, or the dialogue seems like there was something else that was going to happen after, it's because there was. We weren't done. The episode got interrupted. But hey, that just means we get to come back to these characters at some point with fresh new eyes. I hope you enjoyed anyway. Drink water. Take your meds. Don't let the inevitable heat death of the universe make you, too anxious today. Because you're cool. Okay, love you, bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Game Lovin'. Please give us a follow on Twitter at Game Lovin'. Join the Discord, support the Patreon, and consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. This week's episode featured Andre Rivera at Andre Rivera Art, Noordin Ali Kadir at Werewolf Feels, Matthew Ekberg at Captain Krill, and Dillin at Super Dillin.